What's up, guys? Ben here, Tactical Nutrition. We're breaking the chains. And so I want to talk about fat. I'm not talking about the gelatinous rolls that are down at your midsection or under your arms when you wave them. I'm talking about dietary fat because the two things are completely different, and as we will discuss here in this video. And so fat has become a bit of a buzzword and a controversy in the diet community and nutrition fields for some time now, especially since the internet and all the trolls can get online. And so I want to talk about, what type of fat should you be eating, specifically if you're working out in the gym and you're trying to lose weight, because eating fat and losing weight may seem like a contradiction to a lot of people, but I'm going to explain to you exactly why you should be eating fat, not only just to lose weight, but for your overall health and even your physical performance. So first things first, I just want to talk about why in the first place dietary fat was ever considered bad, so to speak. And there are different types of fats, and some are worse than others. But basically what happened is we have a very corrupt pharmaceutical industry and leached their way into the medical industry. So back at around the 1950s, after World War II, that's where the idea that cholesterol and fat was what was causing atherosclerosis in cadavers that they had removed from World War II, and they made the assumption that it was cholesterol and fat in general, and because cholesterol is only essentially in animal fats, they've surmised that cholesterol was the enemy, and therefore fat became the enemy, and we spiraled into a disastrous, epoch of obesity, essentially, and not only that, but cognitive problems. So basically, they were finding the plaques on the inside of these arteries, which do exist, by the way, and I don't think to this day people are really, honestly, completely sure of why they get there in the first place. And it made sense because fat, especially saturated fat at like room temperature, tends to harden up, and so it kind of looks like something that might clog up your arteries, correct? But alas, all is not as it seems. So that's really what happened. We ended up getting into like the trans fat period where, instead of butter, people were using margarine, and they end up using these butter substitutes, and you get these products like, I can't believe it's not butter, because it's not, and you're not getting into the health benefits of butter. And so people start using all of these, butter substitutes and fat substitutes, and it really made things hard for the food industry in general because fat is so useful for taste. First of all, anyone that loves to eat like steak, you get that oily drizzle. It's very tasty, oily, and it has a lot of taste. It also holds foods together very well. And so they took that off the market, not completely, but they tried to, our overlords in the government, thank you, genuflect, took it upon themselves, along with the USDA and the food pyramid and whatnot, to demonize fat. But now it's making a comeback, thankfully, animal fats as well. And so you've got a lot of people that are, for instance, getting into like the carnivore diet, which is like all meat diet plus like organs and essentially no vegetables and fruits. It's carnivore. It's kind of like the predator diet, I guess they could call it. If you look at a lion or a cheetah or any kind of apex predator out in the wild, what they do is they eat the prey and then they consume the organs and some of the muscle tissue and things like that. Bone broth. They're not out there. The lions, I hate to inform the vegans, are not out eating thickets in the bush. So that's one thing that's coming. Also keto, the keto diet, right? So just to go real quickly into what keto actually means, it's going to be ketone bodies are a byproduct of fat metabolism in your body. You can measure them in your bloodstream. And so what happens is people that are going on the keto diet have elevated ketone bodies, which means that your body is using fat as a fuel primarily, which is a good thing. You want to use fat as a fuel, not only to burn your body fat, but because it's got more calories per gram, and it doesn't have as much as of an insulin effect on your body, and it's a very smooth burning, long lasting energy. It's a very good energy to keep you going through relatively low stress, low impact times throughout the day, right? Whereas again, in prior videos, we talked about how carbohydrates are used for quick energy, where if I need to sprint, 200 feet magically, my body is going to rapidly try to convert over to glucose for fuel. So basically, what I'm saying is there's a lot of different types of diets out there. The carnivore diet, the keto diet, and what happens a lot of times in today, and this is my personal view on the matter after coaching many people on nutrition, is that animal products, I believe, are good. I don't think it needs to be your whole diet. I'm not an all or nothing type of person with nutrition, but there are a lot of things in fat that are healthy for you and that will help your body from a health standpoint. So let's look at a couple of things. Cholesterol. Cholesterol is needed. This is a crucial thing. This is not like up for discussion, essentially. Cholesterol is needed to repair every cell in your body. It's also a huge part of repairing your brain, which is mainly fat. So, that being said, if you're not getting any cholesterol, or if even worse, you're taking statins and, blocking your body from absorbing cholesterol and things like that, it's actually blocking your cellular repair down at a cellular level. And you don't want to block the repair of your brain cells. I think that should be clear. But also every other cell in your body. Now, another thing is that your cell membranes, which is every single cell essentially in your body, has what's called a phospholipid bilayer, which is the cell membrane. And that cell membrane is made out of fatty acids, to be exact. Omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids. So this is one reason why, one of the main reasons why your body fat percentage as a male cannot go too low. If you're at like 6% is very, very low. It's not like necessarily unhealthy, but it's hard to keep that low in the first place. But like fitness competitors sometimes will drop down like 4% for a competition, but they never stay there for long. And if you go lower than that, you need a percentage of your body fat because your cells are made of fat and your brain is made of fat, and the myelin sheaths in your nervous system, kind of like the coatings over a live wire, those are made of fat. So, your body needs fat in order to literally exist at all, so you don't crumple into a pile of bones and blood. So your body needs fat, and a lot of people go on a low-fat diet. You don't necessarily need a ton of fat just to get the basics down. But if you're someone that's just like eating a lot of vegetables and a lot of fruits, and there's things like raspberry ketones. I'm not going to really go into that. But if you're eating a lot of fruit and a lot of vegetables, but not a lot of meat, or things like avocado and nuts, which are also sources of fat, you're going to be lower on fat. And so here's from a sports performance standpoint why fat is important, in my opinion. It's going to, again, aid your body in recovery with cholesterol. Your fat sources, such as animal proteins, are going to have all your essential amino acids anyway. And so it's complete protein, and it's going to give your body also fat. And your body absorbs minerals and vitamins and things like that with fat. So like things like vitamin D, I think like off the top of my head, I believe vitamin A. There's a lot of vitamins, minerals. I haven't really looked into the fat soluble ones in a while, but I know vitamin D, and I believe vitamin K, vitamin A. These are called fat soluble. They'll store in your body, but they also require like a bit of fat to absorb properly. So like that's why if you eat fat with your meal in whatever way, it will actually help to absorb nutrition into your body. And there's a lot of things that aren't fat soluble. Vitamin C, for instance, right? B vitamins. You can tell because these are things that you consume and you rapidly pee out, essentially. Your body's constantly getting rid of these things. They're water soluble. But fat soluble nutrients are very important as well. And so, from a sports performance standpoint, if you're going to be like, if I was going to go for a hike or something like that, right? A really long endurance event, multiple hours, I would be eating something with a source of fat, something like nuts, right? You know, that's a good, people eat trail mix when they're out hiking. It kind of makes sense. Something with fat in order to give my body sustained energy while I'm working. Now, you'd also want to consume carbohydrates. This is all part of sports nutrition, because any part of an athletic endeavor, there's going to be little spurts, at least, of high intensity movement or exercise, where you need a mixture of carbohydrates and things like that. That's why if you do go for hikes or snowboarding or skiing or backpacking and things like that, you should kind of bring a variety. You know, if you can, I mean, it's hard to carry things like meat and cheese when you're doing these things, obviously, because they don't keep very well. So if you have like a little cooler, that'll help. But basically, fat is going to give your body a nice fuel source. Also, by lowering carbohydrates in your diet, which is what I advise for most people trying to lose weight, is usually they're way over on their carbohydrates, is to lower the carbohydrates and maybe even slightly increase the meat and the fat and protein. And so your body will actually it'll get near to what we call ketosis. It won't go into ketosis. It's very hard to get into that, actually. Very hard to be in straight up ketosis. But you can get your body in an idea that it's actually burning more fat than carbohydrates. Because one of the things that your body just kind of adapts to is its fuel source. A lot of people eat so many carbohydrates, so many sweets, so much soda, too much alcohol, beer, carbohydrates, breads, tortillas, things like that, that your body gets used to getting a lot of carbohydrates, and that's what it burns as fuel, primarily. And if you're really low on fat, it's not really going to predominate fat as a fuel source. So as you start to eat more fat and less carbohydrates, your body will naturally like to use fat as fuel. And then due to the lowered calorie intake, because usually with fat, it's hard to overeat a lot of fat, it really is. Unlike carbohydrates, where you can eat like a whole bag of potato chips. So your body will actually start to use body fat as fuel. And that is ultimately the goal for weight loss, in my opinion. Get your body to start using fat as fuel. So I hope that helps a little bit, guys. I know I bounce around a lot in these videos, but I feel like there's a lot of information out there, and my head just kind of rattles around and bounces from topic to topic. If you enjoy this channel, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. That really helps. Tag someone that might need this kind of information. I will see you guys in the next video next week, Monday. Peace.